Behind the Lines.
Hello and welcome to Behind the Lines. I'm Diane Dayton. Today we're going to talk about making positive changes, and specifically this is what life looks like when I said yes. And with us right now, good friend of mine and also president of Headlines 3, Paula Severino. Thank you for being with us today.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
Now when we say this is what life looks like when I said yes, it's because you decided to make some major changes.
Major change. I decided after a long dark tunnel that it was time to make some changes, and I decided to look at life a little differently because I knew it was very predictable. I was going in a direction of illness, overweight, obesity, and going to the doctors, and there's never anything wrong with you when you go to the doctors. They do all the blood tests and everything came back negative, 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 but I felt like I was on a spiral downward that was not something I wanted to endure. And so when I got the last verdict of, well, you have to consider that this is your age. You are 70, and you're going to have to understand that, your body starts breaking down. And I thought, this is absurd. My mind's about 40. I got to do something about this. And there was nothing wrong, so I thought there has to be some place to go, something to look at. And that's when I made the decision that the only thing I wasn't doing, besides obviously resting, was I wasn't eating right and I wasn't moving. I wasn't exercising anymore. So the two things that we hear about since we're little kids, that you should exercise and you should eat right. Mm-hmm. Well, I thought, well, what a novel idea. Why don't I try this? But I've tried diets before. Mm-hmm. And I tried things before, and I've joined clubs and I paid membership dues, and I never stayed with it. So what was that all about? So I began to look at being a vegan, a vegetarian. I looked into different programs from Weight Watchers to MetaFast, all of which I have tried, none of which I was able to sustain. So what was missing for me is, what do I need to do so that I can turn this around? Mm-hmm. Say yes to myself and be better, the person I know I am. I wanted to be a better person, mentally, physically, spiritually, and hopefully financially. What a concept.
And it's all related to.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's all related. I know those of you watching may recognize Paula because Headlines 3 was down in Place Marie for
22 years.
22 years, and you were very innovative with what you were doing
and
with hair
the
and color.
birthplace of a lot of great hair designers came from that. So I feel good about my past. But it was not enough to sustain the next 25 years of my life. So I knew I wasn't that person anymore. Right. And I certainly wasn't the person that I'm now exhibiting, which was an older, pathetic, predictable, falling apart person. What am I going to do at it?
So you're redefining yourself and taking control.
Completely.
Okay.
Wasn't ready to die, but I didn't like the way I was living.
Well, I love the energy and the spirit that I've seen with you since you've been changing all of this. So I know everybody else wants to know what is working.
Okay, so what's working is you hear it all the time. It's called the clean eating concept. But I didn't know what to do. And it wasn't until I got in touch with the Food Babe, which was sort of interesting because it came out of the vegan training and on vegetarian training and Whole30 and Paleo. There's a whole list of groups, but she's the one that made sense to me because she finally helped me understand how literally the food industry was sabotaging my ability to sustain my decisions. So while I was not necessarily giving up, I was being tricked into hunger. I was being tricked into addictive behaviors. I could go 2, 3 days, 4 days and do exactly what I said I was going to do. And then somewhere around Thursday or Friday, I would I was so hungry for something. I was so hungry and usually it was sugar, and it was usually something with flour. It was things that were not supporting me and my health. My mind was being sabotaged to even fight against myself. So then what you end up doing is you think there's something wrong with you. And then you start getting guilty. And then you figure you're not good enough. And it's a whole terrible pattern.
It's a cycle.
And then you eat more and drink more and do everything you're not supposed to do. And then you lay on the couch because now you don't have the energy to get up and go walking. So it's a pattern of behavior that is, I know I'm not alone when I tell you this. it's a serious problem
Yeah.
that everybody faces.
Well, you have changed around so much what you eat, and you've learned so much about food combinations. We need to take control of our lives, and that's what you're doing with
Yes.
this.
Start with your pantry.
Okay, explain.
Clean it out.
Okay.
You look at the label. I have come to understand if it has more than 5 ingredients, gotta go. Because it doesn't make sense to eat things that have 100 ingredients in it, because you know it's being sustained by more of a profit center for manufacturers and stabilizing food. And the interesting thing that I learned from her is that stabilizing food that we do here in this country is not even permitted to go into other countries. So why are we able to eat this nonsense? And yet Europe isn't accepting any of our foods with this stuff in it. So I started looking into the politics of food industry and how that was all tying together. I thought, my God, this is a setup.
Yeah.
We have to do something to change it. So I started doing clean buying and going to markets, going to the different places that you could use healthy foods, foods that were grown organically. I started looking into GMO modified foods, which now is getting even more popular. It's more and more being spoken about, which
Right.
I'm grateful for. But once I got focused on what she had to say, and I know she's controversial. Because she has the audacity to speak up about something, and she doesn't have any degrees. She did it because it was the right thing to do. And I often relate to her as the young, non-military teenager who stopped the tank in Tiananmen Square. To me, that energy, that believing in the right thing to do, and the fact that there's no agreement, and yet you have the courage to step up to that, to me, there was a massive turn on. And I thought, okay, I know she doesn't have, but she's saying something that resonated with me.
Yeah.
So I really got encouraged by her.
Yeah.
And I cleaned out the pantry and I started doing the shop. And it took, I guess the thing to say to you is most people jump too fast to do the whole thing. And you got to do it in segments. I didn't start the diet part of it right away. I did the cleaning out the pantry and then the refrigerator and got rid of stuff. But then I decided which one of the chemicals I was going to get rid of first. And so that would be sugar.
Yep.
And then I went to, I took the dairy out, and then I took meats out, and I took grain out. And people were saying to me, what are you eating? I was eating vegetables, fruit, fish. So I slowly approached it, and it took probably 2 months between the cleaning out and the starting. Then I got sort of really excited, and I made a major decision to do something completely outrageous and didn't make any sense at all. And I decided to sign up for a 500-mile walk between France and Spain. You talk about something that had no evidence that would be successful doing. I thought to myself, this is completely insane. And I thought, this doesn't make any sense at all. I think I'm going to do it.
And knowing you, that's exactly
that's
right.
It. And then nothing's been the same since. So
No, it
this is what
hasn't.
life
Yeah.
looks like when you say yes.
Yeah. Now we're going to put a picture on when you were heavier.
220 pounds.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And you've lost how much now?
55.
And you want to go
30 more.
30 more.
Well, I want to, because of my knees, I want to be able to make this walk without, it's going to be hard enough. I'm 20 years older than most people I've talked to so far who has done this walk. So I know that if I'm lighter, I won't be as hard on my knee. But I gave myself 18 months to do this, to get ready for the trip. So my trip starts next September.
Well, I know with this food, with the changes you've made, those of us who are your friends and we have dinner with you, our dinners with you have changed as well.
Yes, they have.
And it's been wonderful, some of these great concoctions that you've put together, because it's so fresh. And isn't that really what the key is? Going back to
local, fresh.
Yep.
At first I never understood it, but there really is an advantage of shopping on the outside of the markets. The thing I found interesting in this process is there's a section that they refer to as organic. And I started thinking, why isn't the whole store organic? Why do we have this little 2 aisles or an aisle and a half that's fresh, healthy, organic, good for you? Well, the rest of this store should be it's 48, it's like 100% of the store on the inside is all processed food. And I started reading about this, like 70% of everything produced in the food industry today is processed. And it has more than 5 ingredients. it makes, so I asked the store owners when I go in, at some of our local store owners, I asked them about why such a small section for healthy foods. And I think it's time for it to expand more. And I don't necessarily mean it has to be just organic, but just less processed stuff.
Yes.
Can't we, there's got to be manufacturers. That's changing, I think. Because I look now on ingredients, and they'll have all the little insignias that say it's non-GMO certified, and or it's all organic, or this has been grown in certain soils, or the grass, or the cows are being grass-fed now, and no antibiotics. So it is changing.
Yeah.
And that's the only way it's going to happen.
Yeah.
One person at a time.
Demand.
Absolutely.
Yeah, make demand. The other thing that's a big factor in your life is working out. And boy, girl, have you been working out. I know at some of the walks I've taken with you what it's about. And I know your trainer has been amazed with how well you are doing. Because I know you too, once you set your mind to something, there's no stopping. So you've been doing really well with that. And you work out, is it twice a week?
No.
Well, twice a week with her.
With her.
But then you have walks.
Yes, then I have 3 walks, and then I lift weights twice a week. So I pretty much, it's a 5-day. I try to give myself a day and a half to 2 days off.
Okay.
Try, but it doesn't always work that way. I feel better when I'm actually at the health club, or if I'm out in the, I mean, there's some walks that are better than others, and I love the walk between Elizabethtown and Lebanon. That
great.
trail is spectacular.
Yeah, communing with nature is good for you too.
Oh, and I love it. And not to interrupt you, but the lady I'm speaking with that also did the Camino, she made something clear to me, that when you start walking, and no matter what your pathway is, the first third is the hardest.
Yeah.
And I mean, my mind says, what are you doing? Are you crazy? You're too old for this. You're tired. You should not come out today. Your knee hurts, yada, yada. And then all of a sudden you go into another zone. It's like the second third, and you start feeling like this sense like, okay, I'm good. And by the time you get to the third, you don't want to stop. And I didn't know what that feeling was until I started walking.
Yeah.
There is a place to walk to in your heart, your mind, your body that just is ecstasy. And that's that last third. So if you have a bad first third, just hang in there, because the second and third is going to be absolutely amazing. It's very empowering, and I want to walk. I like walking.
Yeah. We're going to follow you at the health club and check out your workout and find out how you're getting the strength that you're getting and how she's getting you ready for this walk.
Great.
So you're all ready, and that's where we're going to go. So join us. Welcome back to Behind the Lines. Right now we are on location at Universal Athletic Club. That's Oregon Pike in Lancaster, and it's all a part of our show on This Is What My Life Looks Like when I said yes with Paula Severino. And happy birthday, Paula.
Thank you very much.
Today's 71, and no one would ever believe that.
Let's hope so.
We are with your wonderful trainer, Stacy Miller. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
So you've been working with Paula for how long now?
Since March.
Okay.
So a few months.
A few months. And the whole idea too, she wants to get into shape. She's been changing around what she eats and also with the physical activity that she's doing to get ready for this wonderful 500-mile walk. And this walk, once again, is where?
I'm going to go to Spain by way of France, 500 miles. And I'm going to walk to celebrate my 72nd birthday.
Yeah, and it's the El Camino de Santiago?
Yes, the El Camino de Santiago, and I will finish in Santiago, Compostela, where I will get my certification for my accomplishments.
Okay.
Yes.
Isn't that a great goal?
It is. Yeah. And she's planning on walking, what, 20 miles?
About 20 miles a day.
Okay. So when you're working with Paula, what do you work with her on, and from the very beginning to get her ready for this walk?
Well, in the beginning, we started with Pilates, and we've kind of moved on to build strength in her entire body. We're really concentrating on her core and her legs.
Okay. So when you get together, it's usually twice a week, right? Mondays and Fridays?
Yes.
Okay. What do you have her doing in between then?
Well, we set up a plan, so she's doing a lot of walking. And what else are you doing?
Pretty much
Mainly walking.
Working about 60 hours a week in 3 days. But
Right.
I'm doing I'm controlling my food, but most of all, I'm trying to get the stamina to change terrains. So I'm on hills, I'm in mud, I'm in flats, I'm in gravel, I'm in anything I can get my hands on, because the Camino is all of that. And there isn't a specific kind of trail that you'll be laid out in front of you that you're going to be taking, because you can get pretty lost on the Camino. So I'm trying to learn as much as I can about managing walking.
Yeah. Well, when you started out with Paula and where she is now, what can you tell me about that?
I've seen a huge improvement. I always joke that when I first started out with her, I told her to touch her toes, and she got to like here. And now she can.
Now I put my hands flat on the floor.
So in all areas, she's improved a great amount, and she's really determined. So I see her every Monday and Friday, and at least once a week she's walking. Usually every day, but occasionally things happen.
And Paula has such a good attitude about all of this, doesn't she?
Yes.
Because that does make a difference in how she approaches this, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say, but it's so outrageous. That's what keeps me motivated, because this is so outrageous. And I'm excited.
Has she surprised you?
Oh, yeah. Every day. It's always something.
That's her kinder, gentler conversation. Yes, there's a lot of things that she will ask me to do, and I kind of just look at her like, you are kidding. And then she gets this cutest little grin on her face to encourage me to pick it up or go ahead, get down on the floor. I mean, there's just, let's do it, and those are the ones that are hardest on me, that getting up and down off the floor, because of this knee of mine. But she doesn't give me any slack.
Yeah.
She puts me to it in some way, shape, or form. If it's not on the floor, then I got to get on this thing.
Now, strength training is so key to what Paula is going to be doing. Tell me how that really plays into all of this.
Well, she needs strength to be walking on all different types of terrain, and also just, we don't normally walk that far, so she needs to build up stamina and endurance.
And how is it working with just a slightly older client? I mean, when she's taking on this 500 miles, at 71.
You work with children, and then I show up.
It's great. I guess because of her determination and motivation, I can ask her to do anything, and if she says it hurts, we stop and we do something different. Like she said, if the floor doesn't work, I adapt it. So I'm always on my toes.
And getting me ready to carry that backpack.
Yes, so what's 20 pounds on that?
Yeah, well, minimum. I mean, they tell you 10 to 12% of your body weight, and I'm shooting for like 15 pounds. But, at this point, I haven't been able to get my backpack down to 15 pounds. So I'm walking now with a vest that has weights in it. One of my clients gave it to me, which, by the way, you don't ever wear into a bank. Because, everybody's eyes get as big as saucers, because I walk with this vest on with all these weights in it. I'm like all proud of myself. I got 20 pounds on me plus my 10 pounds in my backpack, and everybody's eyes got as big as saucers. So don't be wearing your vest into the bank. So anyway, I'm training with that, and I take the hills and I do things with that. But I'm trying to get not only the core here, but I want to be able to carry all this without feeling like I'm bent over. I want to keep my shoulders back. So that's been really challenging this week.
Don't you wish you could bottle her attitude for every client that you have?
Yeah, let me see. I'm wondering how her response is going. Maybe.
Someday.
Someday. But she'll always tell you what she's thinking, right? Yeah. And that's good too.
Right up front.
That's really good too.
It's my pleasure. I have been so fortunate to have met Stacy through Universal. Having gone through Chris for the first couple weeks, and then along with Stacy and Pilates, and it just was a match. And if the energies are there and you have a matched energy, you're willing to do what you got to do. And when I knew I had to drive all the way across town to know that she was there waiting for me, that was very encouraging. And it helped me get up and show up. So I think it's an important relationship that a trainer has with their client, is to have commitment. She matched. I got that she was as committed to me as I was to the trip. So that's what works.
Yeah, it really does work. Well, I'm so glad the two of you have found each other on this journey for Paula to get ready to take this 500-mile walk next year. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in another show coming up. But we're going to check out this wonderful workout right here at Universal Athletic Club.
Keep your weight in your hand. 5 more.
I swear you keep getting these things.
And switch. That's only 20. I was going to give you 25. You're doing the rows to help strengthen your back for the backpack when you're walking. All right, push-ups on the bench. So we're trying the close-in ones. Keep your elbows by your side. Elbows in.
Oh.
2 more, and then hold. Hold it down. And back up.
Okay.
Okay. The deadlift. So deadlift helps strengthen your lower back and the back of your legs, which will all be helpful when you're walking. Posture up, squeeze your shoulder blades.
I was telling
You're telling her she should do it with
over here.
You should be doing it with us.
Yeah. Come over here and pick this baby up. Oh yeah, watch this. Go ahead.
What do you want me to do? What should I do with it?
Oh, look at her, look at her. She's like a feather.
You put one knee and then switch your arms.
Oh, switch arms.
Yeah.
And switch legs or no?
Nope. Now you're squeezing your shoulder blade up as you come up.
Good.
You got it.
Is she breathing heavy? That's all I want to know.
We're in the Pilates studio now, and this is where Paula started. We're working on some exercises for her core and her legs.
Okay.
All right, heels together. Bend in. Knees come a little bit apart, and then push out. Hands are by your side. And out. Keep your heels together. Turn around. No, don't you remember that?
Okay.
You're like, would you stop telling me I'm doing a great job?
Yeah, I don't feel like it's a great job. Okay.
Keep your elbows back. Two. And hold it up. See if you can balance. That's good.
Yes! That was good.
Thank you for joining us today with Paula Severino along with her trainer, Stacy Miller. We were here at Universal Athletic Club for the second part of, well, eat well and then work out to get strength for this wonderful walk. I'm Diane Dayton with Behind the Lines. Thanks for joining me, and remember, keep looking behind the lines. You might be surprised what you find.